Welcome to our deep dive, everybody. It's election eve,
Oh, the energy.
and we're going to be taking you back in time to experience those crazy final hours
Right.
of the 2024 presidential campaign.
The final push.
Yes. We've got this crazy source for you guys.
Yeah.
It's a live blog from Al Jazeera. It was chronicling all the action as it was unfolding on this big day.
Oh, wow.
So
It's like we're there.
think of us as your guides.
Yeah.
Just helping you
Sift through it all.
sift through all the craziness
Yeah.
and extract the most interesting little bits.
Yes, exactly. The good stuff.
You have the insight.
The nuggets.
All right, so
So it's a fascinating document.
Okay.
You can really feel the energy and anticipation building as,
Yeah.
the hours tick down to the election. Kamala Harris and Donald Trump are locked in this just crazy tight race.
oh my gosh.
And this live blog, it really takes us right to the heart of the action.
Okay, yeah.
Starting with those all-important morning rallies.
All right, so where do we begin?
Well, what better place than Pennsylvania?
Okay.
Right.
Pennsylvania is always a big one.
Always. Huge.
Yeah.
The blog kind of drops us right in the middle of a Harris campaign stop, actually, at a Puerto Rican restaurant in Philadelphia.
Oh, that's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's strategic, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. Pennsylvania is a crucial swing state. And, the Puerto Rican vote could really be a deciding factor there. I mean,
Yeah.
Harris is clearly working to connect with this community on a personal level, really highlighting the importance of their voices in this election.
Yeah, it's all about maximizing impact in those final hours.
Exactly. Gonna make it count.
And she's pulling out all the stops. Her final rally is going to be Lady Gaga, Ricky Martin, Oprah Winfrey.
Wow.
I mean-
that's a lineup.
Come on.
You've got Oprah, Lady Gaga, Ricky Martin. I mean, this is a clear play for diverse demographics.
Yeah.
It's a way to energize the base, but also potentially sway some undecided voters in a state that could, very well determine the outcome of the whole election.
Of course. Okay, so meanwhile, the blog takes us over to Pittsburgh, where Trump is holding his own rally.
Yes.
Former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is a key speaker.
Interesting.
Now, it's interesting to me that Pompeo has stayed so loyal to Trump, even as others have distanced themselves.
Well, Pompeo's unwavering support, it's really a testament to Trump's continued influence within certain segments of the Republican Party.
Okay.
And it also kind of underscores those deep divisions that persist within the party.
Yeah.
Divisions that have been, let's face it, exacerbated by Trump's political style
Yeah.
and his rhetoric.
Yeah. And just to add a little historical context here, Trump has chosen to end his campaign in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Oh, interesting.
The blog points out that this is the same place where he finished up his campaigns in 2016
Wow.
and in 2020. So it seems to hold some special significance for him.
It's like a lucky charm.
Yeah, almost like a talisman.
Exactly. The choice of Michigan for this final rally really speaks volumes about Trump's strategy.
Okay.
I mean, he's returning to a state that was crucial to his previous victories,
Sure.
hoping to recapture that magic and
yeah.
energize his base in a region that has historically been receptive to his message.
So we got Harris in Pennsylvania
Yeah.
appealing to a diverse coalition of voters.
Right.
And then we have Trump in Michigan really trying to rally his base.
Absolutely.
The stage is set.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this is
It's going to be a showdown.
it. Right.
Right.
But as we kind of delve deeper into this live blog, we start to uncover some pretty fascinating subplots.
Oh, yeah.
And it goes beyond the typical
Okay.
horse race narrative.
Well, these subplots add layers of complexity to this election. They really do.
Okay.
They reveal the diverse forces that are at play here and the undercurrents of, tension and uncertainty
Right.
running beneath the surface. One of these subplots that really caught my eye is it involves Elon Musk
Oh, boy.
and his rather controversial decision to, well, let's just say he's trying to incentivize voting in a way that has sparked a lot of debate.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
This whole thing with Elon Musk giving away $1 million a day
Wow.
to these randomly selected voters
Okay.
in swing states.
Yep.
Now he's openly supporting Trump.
Right?
And despite some legal challenges, a judge ruled that the giveaway could go on.
Interesting.
You got to wonder, could $1 million actually make someone change their vote?
Well, the controversy surrounding Musk's giveaway really goes to the heart of a long-standing debate about the role of money in politics.
Yeah.
Some argue that these giveaways create an unfair advantage and they undermine the principle of, one person, one vote.
Right, right.
But others maintain that as long as, everyone's following the rules,
Yeah.
individuals have the right to use their resources to support causes they believe in.
Yeah, yeah. That's a really thorny issue.
Yeah,
I mean, the blog doesn't shy away from highlighting those ethical dilemmas,
of course not.
And while we're talking about things that make you think, there's another subplot that I thought was interesting. California and Nevada are voting on ballot measures to end forced prison labor.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Now, to understand this, kind of need a little background, right?
Okay. Yeah.
The 13th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, it abolished slavery,
Right.
but it includes this exception for involuntary servitude as punishment for a crime.
Uh-huh.
Now, this exception is often called the slavery loophole,
Right. Right.
and it's been used to justify, forced labor in prisons.
Okay.
So these ballot measures aim to close that loophole,
Gotcha.
at least in those two states.
I see.
Now, this is a powerful reminder of how the legacy of slavery still impacts the United States
Absolutely.
in ways that a lot of people don't realize.
Yeah.
If these measures pass, it could trigger a domino effect,
Right.
leading other states to reconsider their own laws
Yeah.
and maybe sparking a nationwide conversation about prison reform.
Yeah. Yeah. What's really striking about these ballot measures is that they represent, I think, a potential turning point.
Oh, okay.
They highlight that growing public awareness of social justice issues
Yeah.
and the willingness of voters to actually use their power to bring about some real, meaningful change.
And speaking of using your voice, the blog highlights this unexpected twist, rapper Meek Mill.
Okay.
He's releasing a new track
Yeah.
where he hesitantly endorses Harris.
Hesitantly.
Yeah, so Meek Mill's endorsement, or kind of endorsement, is really quite revealing.
Okay.
He expresses concern about Harris's past as a prosecutor,
Right.
particularly her record on criminal justice reform.
I see.
Now, this hesitation really speaks to a broader sentiment
Okay.
of distrust among some black voters who view the criminal justice system as,
Yeah.
inherently biased.
Yeah.
The blog even includes a snippet of the song.
Oh, wow.
It's raw, it's powerful, reflecting the complex emotions that a lot of voters are wrestling with.
For sure.
It's a reminder that the electorate is not one big,
Yeah.
group.
It's not a monolith.
Even within communities, there's all kinds of perspectives and
Yeah.
priorities.
Mill's track underscores the importance of understanding the nuances within the electorate.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not enough to just, categorize voters into these broad demographics.
Right.
We need to recognize the diversity of experiences
Yeah.
and perspectives that shape those individual choices.
Absolutely. So while Harris is out there securing endorsements
Yeah.
from celebrities,
Right.
navigating these complex relationships with, key voting blocs,
Right.
the blog points out that Trump's sticking to his familiar playbook.
Okay.
His rallies are filled with this populist rhetoric.
Yeah.
And he's hammering home the message of America first.
Sure. His classic.
Yeah.
Trump's strategy is a clear attempt to appeal to his base, right? The voters that propelled him to victory back in 2016.
Yeah.
He's really emphasizing those themes of nationalism,
Right.
economic protectionism,
Right.
and, cultural conservatism,
Yeah.
hoping to energize his supporters
Right.
and really drive turnout in those key swing states.
So as the days progress, and we're seeing these two very different campaign styles playing out,
Absolutely.
each trying to connect with voters
Yeah.
in their own way.
In their own way.
But beyond the individual candidates
Okay.
and their strategies,
Right.
the live blog starts to kind of paint a picture
Okay.
of the anxieties and
Yeah.
tensions that are shaping this whole election.
The broader context.
Okay.
Well, one recurring theme is the shadow of the 2020 election
Oh, yeah.
and those persistent concerns about potential interference.
Right.
The blog mentions ongoing investigations into the attempts to overturn the results back then.
Right.
And there's a palpable sense of unease
Yeah.
about the integrity of the electoral process.
It's a sobering reminder
It is.
that democracy is a fragile thing,
Oh, yeah.
and it requires constant vigilance
Absolutely.
to protect it from those who would seek to undermine it.
Couldn't agree more.
And speaking of protected democracy, The blog highlights a really strong warning
Okay.
from Philadelphia District Attorney Larry Krasner.
Right. Yeah. Krasner's statement, it's a clear signal that law enforcement is taking the threat of voter intimidation very seriously.
Okay.
He's essentially drawn a line in the sand,
Yeah.
making it clear that any attempts to disrupt the democratic process will not be tolerated.
It's a powerful message.
It is.
It's a reminder that there are people working
Yes.
to ensure a fair
It's-
and peaceful election.
Absolutely.
But as the day unfolds, another theme emerges.
Oh, okay.
One that speaks to a growing sense of disillusionment
Okay.
among certain segments of the electorate.
Interesting.
And this is where the Al Jazeera Live blog's unique perspective becomes so insightful.
What are you thinking of?
Well, you're talking about the blog's focus on Arab and Muslim American voters,
Oh, right.
which is a group that often gets overlooked
They do.
in mainstream election coverage.
Yeah, absolutely.
The blog highlights their disillusionment
Okay.
with both Harris and Trump,
Yeah.
particularly over their stance on the Israel-Gaza conflict.
Yeah, that's been a big issue.
And this Abandon Harris campaign they're promoting, it signifies a potential, I think, crack in the Democratic base.
Oh, interesting.
And it underscores the complexity of this election.
It really does.
And this sentiment is really strong
Okay.
in Dearborn, Michigan.
Yeah, a city with a huge Arab American population.
Right. The blog takes us right there,
Okay.
right into the heart of this community,
Yeah,
where we hear from voters who feel like their voices are not being heard.
right. Right. Well, the Abandon Harris campaign really highlights a growing sense of frustration among some minority voters
Yeah.
who just feel like neither major party really represents their interests.
Right.
And this sentiment, I think, could have, significant implications for the election,
Yeah.
potentially leading to increased support for third-party candidates,
Yeah.
or even a surge in voter apathy.
Okay.
People just staying home.
Right.
Yeah. It's fascinating how this live blog captures not just the big headlines, but also these smaller, localized stories.
Right. Right.
They reveal so much about the mood of the nation. We see this again when the blog shifts its focus to California and Nevada.
Right. It's easy to get caught up in the whole presidential race.
Oh, absolutely.
But there are other important decisions that are being made on this election day. And the blog zooms in on those ballot measures that we mentioned earlier, the ones aimed at ending forced prison labor.
Yeah. Well, these ballot measures are significant because they reflect a growing movement
Right.
to address the legacy of slavery and mass incarceration in the U.S. The fact that these measures are even on the ballot at all
Right.
is really a testament to the tireless work of activists and organizers who have been pushing for criminal justice reform for years.
Yeah. It's like this election is like a microcosm of all these different forces.
It is.
Pushing and pulling at the fabric of American society.
Yeah.
You got the presidential race with all its drama, but then you also have these grassroots movements fighting for social justice.
Right.
And then you have figures like Elon Musk who seem to be operating in their own world altogether.
It's true. Speaking of Musk, the blog revisits that $1 million giveaway and the ethical questions it raises.
Yeah.
I mean, is it philanthropy?
Right.
Is it meddling?
Right.
It certainly adds a layer of intrigue to this already chaotic election landscape.
Mm-hmm. Well, it does.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder if this kind of, wealth-driven influence could become a trend in future elections.
Oh, for sure.
Imagine a scenario where billionaires are essentially able to just bankroll entire campaigns.
Right.
Or sway voters with these massive cash giveaways.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of an unsettling thought.
It is. It's a question that deserves, I think, serious consideration.
Yeah.
Does this kind of financial influence actually undermine the principles of fair and democratic elections?
Right.
Or is it simply a reflection of the power dynamics that have always existed in our society?
While we're on the topic of potential threats to democracy, the blog mentions attempts to block Justice Department election monitors
Oh, wow.
from polling sites in Florida, Texas, and Missouri. Officials in these states are citing concerns about federal overreach. But it's hard not to see this through the lens of, these heightened anxieties about voter suppression and potential interference.
Well, these attempts to block election monitors are concerning because I think they raise questions about transparency and accountability.
Sure.
Impartial observers play a crucial role in ensuring that elections are conducted fairly.
Right.
And that all eligible voters have an equal opportunity to cast their ballots.
Exactly.
Any effort to kind of restrict their access, I think, raises red flags.
Yeah.
And it feeds into that, already widespread distrust in the electoral process.
It's like every twist and turn in this election just adds another layer of complexity.
It does.
And even as we're grappling with these broader anxieties about the state of democracy, the two main contenders, they're still out there.
Oh, yeah.
On the campaign trail, making their final pitches to voters.
The blog really captures this sense of urgency as Harris and Trump crisscross the country.
Right.
Delivering those close-in arguments and trying to solidify their bases.
Right.
It's a stark reminder that beneath all the noise and distractions, this election ultimately comes down to a choice between two individuals.
Yeah.
And their visions for the future of America.
And those visions couldn't be more different. The blog highlights the just stark contrast between Harris's message of unity and progress
Right.
and Trump's more populist America First rhetoric. It's like they're speaking to two different Americas, each reflecting the anxieties and aspirations of their respective bases.
Yeah, this deep polarization is perhaps the most striking takeaway from this live blog. It's evident in every aspect of the campaign.
Yeah.
From the candidates' rhetoric to the media coverage to the conversations happen on social media.
Absolutely.
It's a polarization that extends beyond just policy disagreements.
Yeah.
To encompass these fundamental differences in values and beliefs and even perceptions of reality.
It makes you wonder how, regardless of who wins, the next president will be able to govern a nation that is so deeply divided.
That is the question, isn't it? It's a daunting challenge, to be sure.
Oh, it is.
Bridging this divide is going to require more than just, political maneuvering.
Right.
It's going to require a fundamental shift in the way we engage with each other.
Yeah.
A willingness to listen, to empathize, and to find common ground despite our differences.
While the candidates are making their final push for votes, the blog also reminds us that there's a whole other layer to this election.
Oh, right.
One that often gets overshadowed by the presidential race.
You're talking about the down ballot races.
Yes, those contests for congressional seats, state legislatures, local offices.
Right.
These races may not get as much media attention.
They don't.
But they have such a profound impact on the lives of, ordinary Americans.
They do. It's easy to forget that the decisions made at the state and local level often have a much more direct impact on our daily lives than anything that happens in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, everything from education policy to healthcare access to environmental regulations.
It's all local.
Is often determined by the outcome of these down ballot races.
And these races are often just as fiercely contested as the presidential race.
Oh, yeah.
Reflecting the same deep divisions and anxieties that are playing out on the national stage.
So the blog highlights some of these key down ballot races, providing insight into the local dynamics that are really shaping the political landscape.
It's a reminder that elections aren't just about, choosing a president.
Right.
They're about choosing the people who will represent us at all levels of government.
Right.
And those choices have consequences that extend far beyond Election Day.
Right.
Absolutely. Elections are a mechanism for translating the will of the people into policy and action.
Yeah.
The choices we make today, they'll shape the future of our communities, our states, and our nation.
As we approach the final hours of this election day, the blog captures a sense of anticipation and uncertainty that is just palpable. The polls are tight, the stakes are high, and the outcome remains uncertain. It's a moment of both excitement and anxiety.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's a moment that will define the course of American history.
Oh, yeah.
For years to come.
The live blog we've been exploring, it really offers a unique window into this pivotal moment.
Right.
It's a reminder that elections aren't just these abstract events. They're lived experiences that impact real people in profound ways.
Right.
And as we await the results, it's important to remember that democracy is more than just casting a ballot.
Right.
It's about engaging in the ongoing process of shaping our society and holding our leaders accountable.
And as the day gives way to night, the blog shifts its focus to election night coverage.
Okay.
And the anticipation of those results.
Oh, the wait.
I know.
The nail biting.
Yeah. The blog captures this, nervous energy as news outlets prepare to project winners and losers. And the nation braces itself for what could be a long and contentious night.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that the process doesn't end when the polls close.
Yeah.
The counting of the votes, the potential for recounts,
Yeah.
the legal challenges that might arise. It's all part of that complex machinery of American democracy.
Yeah.
We've been on quite a journey with this Al Jazeera live blog.
We have.
It's crazy how much they packed into just one day. Not just the big election moments, but all those fascinating little side stories.
Right.
All those undercurrents.
It really is a testament to the power of on-the-ground reporting.
Yeah.
And the importance of, seeking out those diverse perspectives. This blog has given us a much richer understanding of this election than we would have gotten just from, the mainstream headlines.
Absolutely. And as we wrap up our deep dive, I keep coming back to this feeling of just how complex it all is.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
This election is about so much more than just who wins the presidency.
Right.
It's really a reflection of, these deep tensions.
Yeah, absolutely.
These anxieties that are rippling through American society.
I feel like this election is a pressure cooker.
Yeah.
Bringing all these simmering issues to the surface. We see it in the debates about social justice.
Right.
The anxieties about economic inequality, the deep partisan divides, the fundamental questions about the future of American democracy.
And it's interesting how the Al Jazeera blog, through its focus on Arab and Muslim American voters, kind of adds another layer to that.
It does. Yeah, their perspective is crucial, I think, because it challenges that simplistic notion of a monolithic American electorate.
Right.
Their disillusionment with both major party candidates speaks to, I think, a broader sense of alienation and the need for, more inclusive political representation.
It's a reminder that the issues at stake in this election extend far beyond American borders.
They do.
The decisions made in Washington, D.C., they have ripple effects around the world.
Yeah.
And it's clear that a lot of voters are really concerned about the direction of American foreign policy.
Well, the blog highlights this tension, between domestic and foreign policy concerns.
Yeah.
And shows how they intersect and influence voter decisions.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that elections aren't just about, choosing leaders. They're about defining our values and our place in the world.
And as the day winds down and the nation's waiting for those election results, the blog ends on a note of kind of anticipation and uncertainty.
Yeah.
It's like a snapshot of a nation holding its breath, poised on the brink of a new chapter.
Yeah, the final entries in the blog capture the sense of suspended animation,
Yeah.
The calm before the storm.
Right.
But they also hint at that potential for both celebration and disappointment, for unity and division as those results start rolling in.
So as we kind of step back from this deep dive into election eve, what stands out to you as the most significant takeaway? What should our listener be thinking about as, the nation moves into this next phase?
For me, it's that enduring power of individual voices.
Okay.
Throughout this live blog, we've encountered so many different perspectives, anxieties, aspirations.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that democracy really thrives on the participation of informed citizens.
It's like a chorus of voices.
Yeah.
Each one contributing to that complex symphony of American democracy. And, even though there's a lot of noise, a lot of discord, it's essential to listen closely, to really discern those individual melodies and understand the motivations behind them.
The future of American democracy really does depend on our collective willingness to engage with those diverse voices, to find common ground and to work together to address the challenges that we're all facing.
Well said. And I think this deep dive has really equipped our listener to do just that. We've explored the issues.
Yeah.
We've kind of uncovered some of those hidden tensions.
Right.
And we've highlighted the importance of informed engagement.
Remember, this election is just one chapter in the ongoing story of American democracy.
Yeah.
The story continues.
It does.
And it's up to each of us to, play our part in shaping that narrative. Stay curious, stay engaged, and stay hopeful.
I love it. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Election Eve 2024.
My pleasure.